A lot of what took me to the military as a working class kid was the seduction of the military. Mum and Dad came from Austria. We were on the losing side in World War II. My grandfather on my mom's side was in the 88th Infantry Division, fought in Russia, captured, luckily for him, by the Americans at the end of the war. My dad, he is an ethnic German from what is now Romania. The Nazis took his family out of Romania, put them into Germany, and then sent them into occupied Poland. The Polish people were moved into camps or killed or made second-class citizens. And our people, the Germans, these ethnic Germans, we resettled Poland for our Lebensraum, for our living space. And we're going to go further east with that and resettle the savage Slavic people as we saw it, as they saw it. Very similar to what happens in Israel today. I joined the United States Marine Corps because my wife, who's sitting in the front row now, broke my heart in 1985 and didn't come back to the U.S. with me. But I had a few other issues, and to cut a long story short, I was in the Marine Corps, which is not the Navy. A lot of people think it's a Navy, but they're not. They're like Army that are part of the Navy on ships. And we were sailing around the South Pacific. We came to Australia. I figured, I've got Australian friends who were also exchange students in South Africa with me, now back home in Australia. I'm going to visit them. And so I did. I just stayed 9 months while the ship went back, and I was AWOL in Australia. I really was an illegal boat person. I went back, got my discharge, came back to Australia, clean slate, start my life. But I felt incredibly guilty about leaving, the Marine Corps. So while I was at university up at Toowoomba, I saw a thing where you could join the Australian Army Reserve, become an officer while at university. Everybody else is on university holidays. You get to go and do your training, and they give you tax-free money. Now, this is awesome. I'm doing it. And I explained that I left the Marines and how I did it, but I'm mature now and things like that. And they said, no worries, come on in. Then was asked if I wanted to come into the regular Australian Army as a media officer, because I studied journalism at university. I said, sounds like a great idea. Beats working for a living. I'll do that. Then in 1998, I went to Bougainville, which is in the Solomon Islands, but it belongs to Papua New Guinea. Big civil war there for 9 years that hardly anybody knows about. Probably you do. And we went there as peace monitors, and I saw firsthand what a country looks like when it's absolutely destroyed. And I started to find out why it was destroyed, obviously because they had a copper mine there. Mining. It was about those resources. Who's going to control it? Who's going to get the wealth from it, etc. We then went to East Timor in 1999, and I was with the very first troops to go into East Timor. Amazing. 25 years too late. We didn't really want to go. We reluctantly went there after the militia and the Indonesian army basically destroyed everything. Landed in East Timor, feces all over the airfield. One of my first memories. I remember the toilet being full of crap. Then we started going through Dili. We found bodies in wells, roofs off things, people showing us where they killed people, picking up parts of people's bodies, things like that. I returned, and after seeing all this power in action, that was the time, all this power in action, and I'm thinking, this isn't right. This is no way for me to behave. Growing up with German family and German army people from World War II, the world is seen very differently. You know, the Vietnam veterans and the myth of them being spat on and things like that when they came home. Well, my uncle came back from Russian prison camp to join his family in Austria. They told him, why don't you go back to Russia? There's no work here for you. He didn't even think about the welcome home parade. My grandfather never marched with his comrades that fought hand to hand with him in Russia. Should he? Should he commemorate it? Should we commemorate them? I'm sure they were brave. Should we commemorate my other grandfather's invasion of France in 1940, where the insurgents, the resistance fought against him, defending their country in a guerrilla war? That country surrendered. They surrendered. Those are the rules. You surrender, that means you put your weapons down. No, Nancy, wait. He met the White House, and Anzac hero went and fought covertly as an insurgent from another country in France against the occupying powers. But she's a hero. These guys that are doing it to our people now in Afghanistan are not heroes. They're Muslim terrorists, every one of them, and most of them are foreign. So it's not that hard to see the folly in these things, is it? At all. I started to ask questions about that, and people don't like when we start asking those questions. What I used to hear all the time is, you know, these Nazis, these horrible Germans, why didn't they say anything when the commander told them, burn down the village? Why didn't they stand up and say, I'm not doing it? Well, some did, but they got shot. So, it's easy to point out what's wrong with war. Finding practical solutions is a bit more difficult. As medical practitioners, I'm sure you realize that a Band-Aid will not cure an infection. While we live in a system that puts power and profit before people, we're just a bunch of well-meaning souls. And nobody cares that we're here tonight talking about this because we're not disturbing anything. Doing it nice, we're being polite, we're being quiet about it, the way they like us to. We're not asking that John Howard be charged, made held accountable for sending us to Afghanistan. It's unthinkable. We might do that to a Serbian, but we certainly wouldn't do it to our people, let alone George Bush or the others, or even Barack Obama, who personally I think is a nice guy. I would like to have a beer with Barack. He seems friendly. He's attractive. He also sends those drone things, and kids die. Could you imagine if it was one of our kids? By an accident? Collateral? We wouldn't tolerate it.